12 o'clock, the Saints traveling to Tennessee to play the Titans. Titans favor by 3 points on CBS. My Saints are so confusing to me, honestly. Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much. I understand we have a whole bunch of injuries. And it really does kind of hurt. But injuries are an excuse. I always think that injuries are an excuse. Every team gets hurt, right? Every single football team deals with injuries. Now, some has worse luck than others, right? Like the Niners last year, completely decimated by injuries. And some has better luck, like the Jacksonville Jaguars this year, barely any injuries. But every team has injuries. Every single one. The Titans lost Derrick Henry for the year, most likely. Every single football team has injuries. It's not an excuse, in my opinion. The New Orleans Saints had to deal with injuries. Like, let's be honest here, okay? In the last game, you lose Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in, like, the second quarter. In that game, you're already without... You already have lost Michael Thomas for the year. You're without your starting quarterback in Jameis Winston. And that's really it. Like, honestly, you lose your starting left guard in Andrews Pete. That's it. The defensive side of the ball has not been affected that much, and yet you just let Matt Ryan do whatever the heck he wants against you. Now, you get some big-time stops to help your team get back into it, right? Trevor Siemian leads 3 back-to-back-to-back touchdown drives. Imagine if we did anything the rest of the game. We take the lead with about a minute left, right? Up by 1. And then you just let Cordero Patterson get behind you. You cannot let Patterson get behind you in that instance. And then Marcus Davenport makes a superhuman effort to punch the ball out with 50 seconds left, where the Saints only have 1 timeout, and the Falcons have no reason to be running the football. They can just take knees and take the field goal. But instead, they decide to run the ball. Marcus Davenport makes a superhuman effort to hold him up and punch that ball out, and the Saints just decide not to reward that. The other Saints players decide to ignore it and let the Falcons get on top of it. And Marcus Davenport almost single-handedly made that first run pick and 1 play worth it. But the Saints they've got to come out with a win here. You're talking about a team that cannot slip to 5-4, right? And you're talking about if you could get some serious help from the Redskins, a team that could be first place in the NFC South, right? They would be first place if they could beat the Falcons. It really kind of sucks that we lost to the Falcons last week. But you have some serious injuries on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Obviously, you lose Alvin Kamara for this game, and he is someone that contributes 30% of your total passing yards are to Alvin Kamara, your running back, which is obviously not an ideal scenario, but Alvin Kamara has been your most explosive player by far this year. You're already without Tony Jones Jr., which you can hope comes back for this game, but I don't know about that. So if you don't have Alvin Kamara and you don't have Tony Jones Jr., you are relying on Mark Ingram, a guy who just got here. Now, Mark Ingram has been playing phenomenally well over his past 2 games, but he just got here, and you're expecting him to take over the number 1 role, and then your number 2 running back is Dwayne Washington, a guy who has had 1 carry all year round. And then you're also probably going to try and use Ty Montgomery in kind of like a running back receiver kind of role, which I'm not against. I honestly think he works perfectly fine in that role. It kind of fits in like the same kind of category that Cordero Patterson does, where he can literally do both, and he's good at both. So, I mean, why not use him at both, especially if you're going to have some running back injuries. And I think we signed Josh Adams to the practice squad. He was a running back for the Jets, if you don't remember, last year. And I think we could elevate him, but bad situation for the running game. And then you lose Teron Armstead for this game, which means that you have to move James Hurst then. You have to move James Hurst from where he's been starting at left guard to left tackle. Immediately hope he transfers there fine, right? You just have to hope that it happens. And then you bring Calvin Throckmorton in, which, I've been happy with Calvin Throckmorton's play this year. But I would have much rather have him in a role where he can be that 6th offensive lineman, which I don't know who the 6th offensive lineman is now, with James Hurst and Calvin Throckmorton starting. Someone explain to me who that 6th offensive lineman is. Is it Jordan Mills? Is it Forrest Lamp? Is it... I don't know what it was. I cannot name another player that I think could start in that 6th role. So it's interesting there. Obviously, the Saints lose Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You have the chance of getting Ken Crawley back this week, which don't think I'd be excited. At the beginning of the year, I was thinking he's going to be the number 2 corner, which was not ideal. But he could quite possibly fit into a nickel role or a dime role. So it could... 4 players who could fit into this nickel role kind of thing. Obviously, the ideal scenario is you probably put P.J. Williams out there, maybe in a dime. He's been playing dime roles. He's been playing pretty good at his dime role packages. So maybe put him in as the nickel. Maybe go back to more of a 3 linebacker set. I mean, Pete Warner's been playing pretty well, and Quan Alexander has been playing pretty well. So you could probably go back to a 3 linebacker set and go away from your nickel if you want to. But if you don't want to, P.J. Williams would probably fit in fine. Or you could put in your number 3 corner, whether that's Bradley Roby or how am I forgetting his name? Oh my God, it's a rookie. Paulson Adebo. Whoever is the number 3 corner on that play, whether Bradley Roby's in as a number 2 or Paulson Adebo's in as a number 2, can use either of them in the nickel role. Or you could have Godfrey Cam Crawley in as the nickel role player, or between what's his name? Something Keith Washington, I think, comes back to this game. I think it's going to be interesting. I think the Saints are one of those weird teams that play up to their opponents. Again, they are 3-1 against playoff teams, and they're just 1-2 against everyone else, right? Like, teams that are not playoff contenders or not in the playoff picture right now, they lose to, right? They lose to those teams. But the Tennessee Titans are a team in the playoff picture. If you were wondering, the one loss is to the 7-seed Atlanta Falcons right now, right? So it's not like they lost. They've beaten the top seeds in the NFC. They are right now, I believe, undefeated in AFC play. Now, I believe the only AFC team they've played so far is the New England Patriots. So take that, again, with a grain of salt. But I think they can beat the Tennessee Titans, especially the Tennessee Titans without Derrick Henry. Give me the Saints to pull off the upset here.